Hi everyone, I'm Squid, and welcome to the first patch highlights for TFT Set 12. Hello everyone, and for those of you who are new, welcome to this series where I go through the patch notes and highlight what I think are the major changes you want to know to help improve your games. As expected with this first patch of the new set, it is absolutely giant and there is a lot to go through, so I will do my best to try and keep this as concise as possible. Thus, let us begin by taking a look at some of the biggest trait changes. One of the great things I think of this set has been the variety of the traits and the flexibility with them. Now with this first patch, a great number of these have been buffed, and I would say some of them have been significant buffs as well. Blaster has had changes to the early and mid-level damage amp, which will make Blaster 2 and 4 more effective and potentially even viable, as Bastion has had a later game buff with Bastion 6 and Bastion 8 gaining more bonus armor and magic resist, which will help keep those champs alive those crucial few seconds longer. Faerie? I genuinely don't know what the best way to pronounce this is, but it has had buffs all over, with the crown item getting improvements to its damage amp in its mid-level, and the armor you get when you hit Faerie 6 has had improvements to its shielding, the HP gain, and also the healing based on the queen's damage. And honestly, I think this combined with Warriors 4 or 6, which are getting buffs to 20 and 30% damage amp and omnivamp, I expect to see more Katarinas tearing up the board, especially as she's been buffed as well. Frost has just been buffed all over, and for each level of your champs, you'll gain even more HP. I think this will help Frost become a very strong early game comp, as not only will they have more damage and the ability to spawn one ice soldier, but Warwick has also had an AD buff and will now deal 55% AD damage at the 1 and 2 star level and 60% at that 3 star. Next, we have Scholars, who will now gain slightly more mana per cast at Scholar 4 and at Scholar 6. Now, both Ahri and Rise are getting buffs this patch, so I could see more academic comps coming to fruition. And when you're in a jam, who do you turn to? That's right, Preservers! They are getting a nerf, so they will restore less mana and heal less in general, but now for any mana locked champion, Cassio, Nico, they will gain any mana they might have gained after they come out of that mana lock. A small change, but one that feels more natural. Finally, the last trait being affected is Chrono, with an actual nerf, where that Chrono stop at Chrono 4 is now going to be affected by those with CC immunity, so it's no longer going to be as impactful as it was. Whew. That was a lot of trait changes, but that's okay, because anyone who has played Set 12 so far knows there is a one champion everyone has been begging to be nerfed. Ding Dong the Witch is at least in hiding for now. There are other buffs and nerfs to champs, as you'll see on the screen, but honestly, even though I have been one of the people abusing her and climbing the ranks, it should at least stop everyone in the lobby going after her. I am, of course, talking about SYNDRA, who has been hit by an absolute sledgehammer of a nerf, as her ability damage has been reduced significantly, along with the rift damage, and actually, the biggest nerf for me is the cast time of her ability, which used to be a 0.3 seconds, ridiculously quick. It is now 1 whole second, more than 3 times as long. This will help reduce how many casts she can do, which will prevent her passive getting to ridiculous levels. I think she will still be strong, at least more in the late game, but you're going to kind of earn that. So yeah, other champions have been buffed, but I'll be honest, this was the only one that mattered. A few augments have actually been removed in this patch, so now you will no longer be able to select On the House, Arcane Conduit, or Draconic Mastery. Now the augment Endless Hunt now no longer allows your hunters to scale based on how many takedowns they got. Instead, it's now a straight 12% health execute. And they do gain 10% attack speed as well. But it was kinda nice to have a scaling AD augment for once. Now you may have watched my previous video for set 12 with those rework augments, which I have now found out are actually called hero augments. And a few of those have actually got buffs, as Witchy Wallop has gained 5% more damage, so now deals 85% damage per swing, and the time between each wallop has been reduced down from 0.25 to 0.15 seconds. Molten Caramel has had the ability damage amp increased from 190 to 200%, and the Omnivamp is now up to 20%. And High Horsepower Lilia now has 150% movement and attack speed, and her ability damage has now been increased to 300%. Especially with those Faerie buffs, she's gonna be terrifying. And though they aren't augments, 4 new charms have been added. You have Copycat, which costs you 1 gold, and you gain a 1-star copy of the first enemy unit to die. You also have Ironclad Spirit, which costs 1 gold and is only available stage 4 or higher, and your team is going to gain 30 armor for the next combat. And similarly, you have Mystic Spirit, which is also new, and instead of armor, your team will gain 30 magic resist. And the last new charm is Spawn Swarm. At stage 5 or higher, the first 2 front new units that die are going to actually spawn you a Voidling. And there we are. Wow, what a patch we've had, but what a start we've had to the new set. How are you finding it so far? Let me know in the comments your thoughts of set 12, and also these patch highlights. Are you happy with that SYNDRA nerf? I hope you've enjoyed the video and that it was, nice and informative for you. Make sure to like and subscribe to help kind of support this channel, to help it grow. And until next time everyone, I'll see you in the arena.